Hey, what's up, everyone? So today is going to be the second Blitz Open of the year 2020 for Singapore, and this is part of our annual series of tournaments that will gain players points to actually qualify for the year-end Masters event. So even though amidst the doom and gloom of COVID-19, we are just trying to have our tournaments to continue online for the most part of the qualifications, and of course, the final major tournaments will still try to make it face-to-face tournaments organized on a separate basis. So today, given that we have 12 participants registered, we'll be having 11 rounds of Swiss pairing using the PlayOK automated tournament system. And each round, because this is a blitz tournament, it's usually run on a 5 minutes time control if it were on the board. But since it's online, we are taking 2 minutes off and doing a 3 minutes semi-blitz tournament instead to just sort of account for the time for this split. So just under 2 minutes to go for the tournament to begin. And basically, I'll be sharing my thoughts process for most of the moves as and when I play, if I can. Given that the time limit is only 3 minutes, let's see how I'll do. So in terms of openings, usually it's a great idea to actually think ahead or prepare something to play before you actually start off the tournament. So if you do prepare well, you might be able to get relatively good results, perhaps. So today's black opening, I'm just going to try to go for Black Tiger to the Akun opening, which is Akihiro Kun, and then basically that would be against Perpendicular. And against Diagonal, I will be going for the Buffalo opening. And for white, today I'll be playing the Perpendicular variation. If I'm up against Kormoth, if I'm up against Stephenson, I'm probably going to go for the No Kung variation. And then if I'm up against Tiger, I'll be going for the Kiske opening variation. So let's see. Just the final 24 seconds countdown before the tournament starts. Everything will be automated. So after each round, I would immediately jump into the next round. So it's going to be happening very fast paced and relatively quite exciting. So good luck, everyone, before we start off the tournament. So let's go. Okay, so the first round I'm up against Nix Nevius. So he's a young player of Singapore, a very promising young player, definitely. So let's see. So we're going with the Perpendicular. Counter roles, I'll be using the Sealy Rose counter. Sealy as in for Ben Sealy. So instead of playing the usual b5, I'll be going for b3. So let's see how that plays out. Okay, so black has played this move. I'll go on to the tail end of it just to wrap around in a compact manner. He's stretched out. I'll just go to the center, just flipping 3 discs 2 different directions, but still maintaining a relatively compact shape. So a little bit of like a cling variation. So right now, black is, so I'll just go for a simple 1 disc flip into the center and just maintain that compact shape within the center. So that disc that I flipped is nestled between the existing discs. I'll go for a straight cut down over here because black doesn't have access to this pocket square. I can make multiple tempo stretching across. Black has jumped over. This disc is removed. So one thing that is important to take note of is what discs that your opponent actually removes with each of his moves. So right now I'll just play perhaps a poison move just to counter that. So today I'm just playing a very simple game of just a punch and maybe a react or response. So over here, bearing in mind that I flipped this to white and this disc d7 to white, so suddenly this becomes a bit of a vulnerable point. So that's good. Black has taken that, so that's fairly reasonable play. And of course, with black carving out the d5 disc that gives him access to f3, it's a very beautiful maneuver. So I can choose to either prevent it, which involves removing this disc, which right now I can't. So I would probably poison it, or I'll just block and take the move, or I'll just ignore it and let him have it. I'll take another move. Maybe I'll take this and let him have it, and then I'll take one more tempo over here. So that's an approach as well, just to steer the game. Because even if I do counter this move, I still have another move to worry about. And if I were to play this and he takes this move, he removes this particular disc that is critically giving me access to the b4 disc. So I'll go for b4 and expect black to go in here to f3, and then I'll follow up through to just block the center cut and just establish that shape across. So I'll block this excess. Right now, if he jumps in for the excess, I'll block it here instead of preventing it, forming a solid block. May not be too favorable, so I'll just block this. This is an unbalanced edge, so he might feed me an unbalanced edge. He's taken a chip to the edge, so I'll take a poison move. So if he does respond, it's fairly poison. May not be the best for me, but let's see. I'll take the center. He'll probably balance out his edge. Okay, and then on the tail end of it, I'll just play this simple move, countering, just going into a 1 minute region. So this is, after all, Blitz tournament. Probably good to play simple and response-based strategy or moves. So right now black has chipped across, so that's a fair move. I'll just jump in and continue this stretch across to control this diagonal. So if I make one more move here, I'll give up this move. That's not too favorable. So instead of taking this and making this clean, I'll stretch out one more move to the x square instead and play sort of like a floating x square, anticipating him to jump in over here. I'll feed over here to try to squeeze in. Let's see if that makes sense and whether we can play something out of it. Okay, so he doesn't counter over there. We can still play this move. That's fine. For fear of him playing to the diagonal control might be a slight concern, but let's try that first. So there's a chance that he jumps in for the diagonal control over here. This is a 5 disc region. This is a 5 square region. I'll probably have to even out one of them just to try to create access into this corner. So right now I'm a little bit in trouble, and also in time as well. So this game is getting a little bit interesting. Quite difficult for me to actually find a nice access into the corner. So over here, there's a 5 disc region. I'm just going to sacrifice the corner in exchange for this particular disc to try to get this corner access. Over here, I cannot let go of parity, so I have to take this. There is a danger that he cuts back, and I'll get this corner, and I wouldn't have access to this corner again. And because he controls this top second row, I would have a little bit of problem trying to gain back that access into this corner. Okay, he doesn't, so I'll go for that quick move to the corner. Okay, so I'll defend this edge first. So this is like a spare move for me. Okay, let's grab this edge and try to close the game with parity, but I think he has a swindle over here, so that's a nice swindle for him. So right now, I think I've actually lost the game because he can wrap up. Okay, so he's timed out, so that's lucky for me. I managed to win, but it's actually a win for him. So with this final move, I would have lost another 8-10 disc together with the disc that you played. So that's okay. Next game against Samuel. So I mentioned that I'll be playing Tiger to Akun opening today. So let's go with that. Okay, so with Samuel, he's playing with the Aubrey opening, so I wouldn't be able to go for the usual Tiger. So let's see. So just going into the center, maybe I could play something different just to throw him off book. Because Aubrey is a very powerful opening. If you just remain in book, it is a bit risky. So this is quite a book response. So let's just jump into the center instead of going for the usual line control maneuver. And then we'll try to grab the center more forcefully in terms of regrouping it. And over here, I'll just jump into the center, opening up some weak points for sure. Um, but let's see whether we can handle it. We have this momentary to this diagonal control. I'm just gonna keep that passive and just break out to another side and just maintain that line of control. So the overall strategy is still trying to remain largely in the center and then look for opportunities to actually capture the edge and of course look for opportunities to gain tempo. So now he's chasing after this excess. I'll just block it. So just removing this disc. Right now he doesn't have a direct access towards it. I'll just play a passive move, more like a waiting move. So I'm just waiting for him to maybe chase after the success over here. And if he does, I could just prevent it again. Now that he's played this and established this becomes a weak point. So now I play into the edge on h5, begging a response to h6, which flips 3 discs along this diagonal and creates more moves for me to just, fill up the gaps and maintain the center shape. So since he doesn't grab the edge after I've initiated it, I'll just grab it and basically gain tempo. So over here, now he has this disc, and he's chasing after this success. I'll just prevent it by blocking it. Let's see whether a superficial strategy actually works. Okay, so over here he's taken the tail end of this. I'm going to just approach the edge perhaps. Or over here he's threatening to take 2 consecutive moves over here. I'll just break the shape first because this mini diagonal is still in control by me. There's no hurry for me to actually play a move along the diagonal if he's not chasing after it. So right now I'm just feeding him and unbalanced edge, going for an easy, quiet move to pocket, form up the shape. And then over here, perhaps I could just jump in, create some excess along the 6th row. Okay, I wanted to go here, but since right now he's chasing after the excess, I might have to recalculate a little bit. So if I do this, I can prevent him chasing after this excess. And let's go with this and basically do a semi-line control along this column, so there's no way he can go after this move. So right now, I'll take the center move first. It's more secure. If I were to create another region of uncertainty over there, I would have a problem. So let me take a quick touch to the edge, which forms up sort of like a 2-choice edge. Right now I just form a pocket. Make him form a pocket, and I'll be able to take the spare moves in between. Okay, so right now it's just a very straightforward edge play, and basically just sweeping up the discs along the sides, and then just giving up the corner and just sweeping a swindle. So this is more like a swindle, forcing the corner and taking both moves. So that's a nice win for me, as opposed to round 1 perhaps. Thank you, Sam. So this game progressed fairly quickly. Okay, so round 3 has begun against Siach, also a very promising young player in Singapore. So he's going with the Rose variation. Okay, so right now he's actually chosen to play the Shaman variation. So that is probably quite courageous of him. He has probably something prepared for sure. Let's see, what should I play? I'll probably play this diagonal approach, which is a fixed book sequence. Okay, he's actually elected to jump right in for the early variation into the center. So right now he's threatening to take this compact shape. So one way is to just jump in over here and prevent it, or just leave a gap. Both are playable. I'll probably prefer this slightly. Or another approach is just to play this and then let him have it and then go towards the edge. Okay, let's go for this one. So this almost looks a little bit trending towards like a Italian variation opening perhaps. So let's play to the edge. See what we can do along the edges. So if we defend the edge over here and he plays this move, he not only gains a move to regroup, he also gains a tempo. So that is probably something we don't want to do. So jumping into the center, letting him have the unbalanced edge if he chooses to take it. So this is very important to try to maintain access along this diagonal in preparation for him playing maybe towards the edge over here. I can jump into the center. And if he takes this, I can secure the edge and also secure the access for a future move here. So it's important to actually plan at least a few moves ahead just to ensure that you have sufficient number of moves to play towards the mid game. If not, you might lose tempo very quickly. So right now, let's see how he would play. I think the top picks for him would be okay. So he's chosen to take this edge instead. Um, Probably giving me two choices. Either I feed the edge or I just further prevent the edge by defending over here. And if he jumps in, it'll be a poison approach. Not too great for him. So let's go with h4 and basically wait. And if he takes the compact, we'll feed off the unbalanced edge, gain this disc at d7, find one more quiet move and maybe potentially consecutive tempo in the form of g4 followed by g3. So let's see. So just about 75 seconds left for me. I think he has a little bit more time, so that's good for him. So I'm just gonna jump in. Should I? If I jump in, he has a quiet move over here because I've established control on the 6th row. So that is probably not too favorable. Alternatively, I could go this and try to go for consecutive tempo. So if he takes this, I can jump in. He still gets a quiet move over here. Probably not that ideal. So I'm going with this move first instead. The shape looks slightly more favorable if I were to let him have this quiet move first, and then followed by me taking the nestled move, rather than me taking this, him making me form a regular shape before he takes a quiet move may not be as favorable for me. So I think just gonna go ahead with that. And if he squeezes in, I can feed the unbalanced edge across, or I can choose to take the balanced edge. I think taking the balanced edge without him having access to play an equilibrium edge might be advantageous. So let's take the balanced edge, and I'll grab the edge. So right now he has a loss of tempo due to me taking control of the edge. He has to break out to the left. So he breaks off to the left. He seals off everything. So I'll just grab the edge and try to use the strength of my right edge, which is a balance edge. Potentially could be very strong. Two approaches. I could sweep this way, control the edge, or I could just go for this chip across for the edge control. So now it's just trying to close out the game, going for the corner access over here, but taking a diagonal cut, retaining one more tempo for myself if possible. This disc is going to be important in terms of trying to access the corner. So this game is probably just more about wrapping up right now. Okay, let's grab the corner since there is parity inherently over here with a 2-disc square over here. So I'll just play this, form up a pair, and then just extend the influence across. So this should be quite alright. Let's just cut for an access to the corner, grab the corner, take the corner, and just extend from the corner across. Take the quiet move. Let's take the interior sweep across to the 7th row, sweep up the remaining discs, and just wrap up the game. Okay, so that's round 3. Round 4 against Tricky Boy, so definitely one of the top few players in Singapore. Going with black, he usually plays the perpendicular, so I might be able to play my tiger to Akun variation. Okay, so let's go with the Akun opening. Okay, so usually the variation starts off from here. So right now I'm just trying to establish line control because he has a very nice access across. So I'm taking this vertical line control and also the diagonal line control. Now he cuts across. I'll just probably simply maintain a central line control. Okay, over here, since he's taken the center, I have an option to do a quiet move, but a quiet move over here may be dangerous because in the future I might have uh, a need to actually occupy this diagonal over here. So it might be good to actually go for one move over here to establish some discs along this diagonal. So regardless of how he cuts to the top and to the left, I might be able to retain access along this diagonal. Another option is to just go here. But if I were to go here, he might be able to just simply go for a 6, which fairly poisons up all the moves. Let's go for... Another option is to go for the tail end of this, perhaps. Let me try to go for this center cut. Establish a disc over here. And then go for the quiet move. Basically forming a more regular shape before I go for the quiet move on the tail end of this entire column. Okay, so he's gone for this move. Go for the jump in. So he's a feed and swindle. So this is a mid-game swindle. It's a beautiful maneuver. And I'll be forced to take the edge on the left because for the fear of losing tempo. If I were to play one more move outside and he grabs the edge, and it's a balance edge at that, I'll have to take even one more move on the outside. I lose two moves on the outside and therefore losing tempo. So that is a concern. So right now, there's a high chance that he just simply regroups, or he could feed off the unbalanced edge, okay, and then go for the wedge. Probably feeding off this before going for the wedge. That is also very likely. Alternatively, I could go for the wedge myself immediately. Make the game a little bit more interesting. So let's go for that wedge. Let's see whether that game will become more fun. Let's go for an easy, quiet move over here, perhaps. It's a bit of a gamble because he can grab the corner and do a horizontal sweep across the second row. So it might be a little bit too many discs lost for me, but just trying to see whether tempo helps to actually create more moves. Let's go for the tail end of this and just try. So Tricky Boy is a very strong player in book opening, so that's why I just wanted to do a little bit of a mid-game variation to try it out. Okay, he's going for consecutive tempo. I will just grab the edge, grab the center, and then try to take a diagonal cut across. This is quite a fixed sequence, so if he takes this, I'll feed off the unbalanced edge, and then I'll feed off the center disc move. Probably something I don't want to do is actually to take this because it would then become a swindle, so that's probably what he's looking for. So I'll go for the interior, occupying the interior just for probably a little bit of an extreme diagonal control over there. If I take this and defend it, I'll be losing out in tempo. Let's go for the interior move first. Not too sure whether this would work out. Let's try my luck over here perhaps. Let's go for this move. So right now he has a little bit of a dilemma. Not too sure if he has a swindle somewhere. But just trying to go for parity. Okay, he's probably going to have parity over here, so that's going to be a problem. So just going for a little bit of a swindle to the bottom right corner to try to compensate for some discs. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so occupy the center, going for 3 or 4 in a corner. Okay, just managed to get a draw, so that was quite lucky for me. Okay, against Ian. So Ian is also a very up and coming young player in Singapore. So let's see what opening he'll play. Okay, so play the perpendicular opening. He's going for the rose variation. So let's go for the Sealy Rose counter. So instead of going for the regular one, we'll go for this. Okay, just jump across. Uh, take the quiet move to the edge. Form up that edge shape with that cross. So right now he's threatening to actually go for a balanced six-sided edge. Six disc might be strong, but I'll take this line control first. Just threatening across. Okay, so the problem with him establishing an early C square over here and then playing a move like this along this column means that I can feed across to force him to form an unbalanced edge and flip so many discs. It immediately closes off all his options to the right, so may not be too favorable. The moves did not really gel, perhaps. So let's just go for the quiet move across. So just maintaining my shape on the left now. Now that the right is black entirely, all I need to do is just try to exhaust the moves on the left if possible. So right now, a little bit on mid-game parity. This is like a 4 disc. So if I were to go in first, right now he has one more move that is leading up, which is a good move for him to enter. So for me, I'm thinking of how to close up the game. I'll need to look for some excess to feed off the edge. What I don't want to do is establish any disc along this mini diagonal across because I don't want to poison my moves. So to avoid self-obstruction, I will just go into the center and wait for the best opportunity to feed off this edge, since this square is sort of like an exclusive region for me to decide when I want to jump in and make use of the poison. So I'll just jump in, do a setup move, see how he responds first. So if he just sweep off the disc, I would have to think about the excess to jump in again. So if he doesn't and responds somewhere else like this or this, I'll be able to jump in. So even though, okay, so right now all I have to do is just sweep across, connect the discs, force the open squares along my disc to be probably in a more dangerous position for him, and probably would be able to close off the game. Scrap the edge. Okay, so he's given up the corner fairly early. Probably not what I would recommend, but I think he doesn't really have much of an option at this point in time. So we'll just sweep across, give up the tempo, and if he takes it, I'll just take a nice corner sweep, make consecutive moves along this edge. Okay, and then go for consecutive moves to the left, go for the sweep, more like an interior sweep perhaps. Okay, so that game ended fairly quickly. So that was round 5, I believe. Earlier was round 4, was a draw. So right now sitting on 4.5 out of 5. It's not too bad for an 11-round tournament. Okay, so this is going to be round 6 against Feng 211. Definitely the top 3 players in Singapore. Playing a perpendicular variation, he plays the Stephenson. I'll go for the No Kong this time. Going for a little bit of a variation over here. So this is an opening that I actually learned from Ruru. So this is quite an interesting variation to play. So he cuts out to the center. I go into the compact shape. He branches out. I'll just go for a quick quiet move along this lead diagonal and just try to form up a shape to the top. Right now over here, probably I can jump into the center or I could just do a center sweep down and establish that access across to go in. That's one way to play it. Another way to play it is to play a quiet move over here to try to target a cut across. So let's try for that. Okay, so he's jumped into the center over here. What you probably want to do is just to do a quick cut across, and we have multiple options to cut here or here. Either one may work. So let's jump to the center, establish this disc, looking for some access over here. He blocks the move. That's a nice play. Okay, right now, let's go to the edge. Just waiting for a move to play. If he plays this, I'll be able to play this as a quiet move. If he plays any moves that removes this disc, I'll be able to play a quick poison move over here, perhaps. Just feed off the unbalanced edge. So he does take the tempo. Okay. So that's a bit interesting. If I were to jump and take this, he would just feed off and force a tempo exchange. If I were to ignore it, he would be able to jump in. So I can't ignore it. I have to respond. So it's only here or here. If I go here, he jumps in. I wouldn't be able to feed the unbalanced edge across to wedge. So I have to choose A4. Okay. So if that's the case, I don't want to take the unbalanced edge right now. So I'll just take a quick chip to the edge. So he's playing fairly quickly, definitely very sharp, for sure. It's almost pressurizing right now. Okay, so take the unbalanced edge to the top, extend. Let's see how he closes this off. So right now, clearly black is in the lead for sure, very comfortable lead, in fact. Okay, so if I close off this, he plays a parity region move. May not be too great for me. But let's see. I still have corner access and a diagonal control to play to, so it's still fine, perhaps. That would be compensated across. Okay, so he doesn't play this, which is quite surprising. Which is a reasonable move to play, actually. I'll just play a floating X square just to observe. He'll probably pocket this move over here, which is a very straightforward move, and then I'll go for the X square. Because if he plays this and I'll play down, it will poison his move. So it's kind of self-obstructing to a certain limit. So black, black perhaps. White goes in, black extends. I'll have a little bit of problem over here. So I think the key over here is the access to G7 ultimately. So if he does play here, I might even be forced to take up this move immediately and feed off the corner. That's a problem. This region is advantageous for him. So I might have to play the diagonal control first. Let's play the diagonal control first. Either way, it wasn't too favorable for me, I guess. So right now it's a clean move for him over here, not too favorable for me. I would have to continue with the diagonal control over here. So right now he's able to sweep the disc pretty much cleanly across. So I'll just have to go for this right now. Okay, so unfortunately this is a bad loss for me. So, good game. Okay, round 7. Starting with black for me. So let's play. So we're going to be playing with the tiger variation as much as possible towards the Akun opening. Okay, so right now he's played the banana variation, so I'll just cut across and regroup. Okay, so I will take the center, just take one disc along controlling this entire row. Okay, so right now white has a good move over here. One way is to prevent it, or poison it, or grab it itself. Prevent it looks fairly easy to play, but white would have a consecutive second move over here, so preventing it using this approach might be better. Or I could just poison it and try to form up a regular pair shape over here. A pair, meaning these two squares. Okay, and over here, white has established the center. Let's go for the tail end of it. Okay, and right now, white is threatening to take control of the edge. I'll just jump in the center on the tail end of this move. Let's just wait and see. Okay, white has established an approach towards the edge. So Jin Feng is actually a very experienced player in Singapore, and he's very edge, oriented when it comes to Othello games. He likes to grab the edges, so he's very strong. So what we don't want to do is actually give him a very strong edge. So right now I'll just regroup to the center, wait for him to perhaps remove this so that I can jump in for a quiet move over here. So right now he's cleverly played this move so that he has this line control and 2 consecutive tempo, maybe 3 consecutive tempo if I were to just jump in hastily. So let's just jump in and take a look. And if he takes this, I should probably block off this first and let him form this. Yes. Okay, so right now it's a little bit of a contest of tempo. Definitely still quite difficult for me to play across. So this is a standard variation of feeding the edge. If he doesn't take it, let's form this X square shape, giving up the corner, going for the wedge, and going for another consecutive move, perhaps. So right now he's reaching out for the corner access with a feed, and also a diagonal cut across, a very strong move in general. So he has that access to the corner, but that's fine. I can just wedge in between. It's more of an exchange and an attempt for me to just try to nullify the impact of this corner as much as possible, leaving one empty square that is exclusive for me to try to gain parity, because as black, I don't have natural parity. So what I want to do is just try to actually make a shape like this so that I have that one move to skip for parity later on. So we'll form a pair with him jumping out this way. This is a chance for me to try to perhaps capture parity. But if he jumps in for 3 or 4 in the corner, goes for a momentary diagonal control, I go for the regular pair. He sinks in one more in order to poison. So that's a very sensible approach. So right now, I can't really make this move for now because I might lose tempo. So what I want to do is probably play the X square, tempt him to take the corner. He's probably not going to take the corner to give me the swindle, but that's fine. Just wanted to squeeze out one more move. So let's play this to break off. Grab the interior move. So let's see whether we can force him to actually take this and give us a swindle. So he doesn't take it. Over here is a 5-disc combined region with the 3 square earlier and the 2 square. So that's a odd region for me to just jump in for a quick parity finish, perhaps. And let's feed off this so I can make 2 consecutive moves with a strong white. So that makes sense. Okay, good game, Jin Feng. Okay, so Rukawa, a very experienced player. I believe he's won one of the Singapore Opens as well. So let's see how this match goes. Perpendicular opening. Then going for the usual book response. So these 3 moves, pretty standard. Stephenson, let's go for no-come. Jumping in for the variation opening again. Centering. Taking a point move in order to regroup in a compact manner over here. So this is a point disc that points to this. He's taken it and blocked the move, at the same time establishing a nice access So we want to block this cross move and at the same time prevent this cross move. So let's jump over here to regroup to the center. Okay, right now let's see what the approach could be. This is a vulnerability. He might go here next. So probably play a waiting move over here. Let's wait. Let's jump in to try to achieve an excess over here to c7, chase down the excess. And if he further prevents this from happening, he establishes a disk along this mini diagonal, which is c1. So I would then be able to approach g4, which badly poisons this g5 move. So since he doesn't fall for it, it will be a change in shape or an expected shape. I'll just jump in, occupy the center shape first. That's all right. Exchange tempo with him. He probably has 1 tempo here, 2 tempo here. Next one is here for him. So let's just go for a simple edge quiet move. Perhaps entering the center first might be better, but yeah, to avoid basically self-obstructing. Right now, a little bit of self-obstructing. Maybe the edge move might have poisoned this move more. If I played this move first, he might have removed it with the center, and I would be able to still play this as a quiet move. So right now, looking back, this might have been a mistake on my part. So let's go for this, more like a post and feed and jump in, perhaps. Let's go for that. Okay, or post and slice, maybe post and feed. It happened, but I could choose to form a block here, or I could just choose to go for a slicing move here. Let's go for a slicing move instead. Okay, so right now he's threatening for the poison edge. I'll just jump in for the feed, which is a usual mid-game technique to employ in this shape. So if he jumps in, which is expected, into the pocket space, I'll just feed off the unbalanced edge. Fair exchange, that's alright. Okay, so he's jumped in, I'll feed off the unbalanced edge, given that this is poisoning, these two discs are poisoning this move, so I wouldn't even consider that. So I'll just quickly jump into the center and feed off this unbalanced edge. And if he just takes it, I might be able to feed one more time and then go black, white, black, and then go for this X square over here. Okay, so he doesn't, so I might have to recalculate a little bit. So now it is a fairly strong move. I'm a little bit hesitant to jump in, even though it might seem like the best move at the moment. Reason being, I'll form this 4 square region that only ends up in a bad way for me to access it. But that's alright, I guess, given that white has natural parity, forming a 4-disc region over here is fine. If the other region plays out with expected parity exchanges, then it would be fine for me, I guess. Let's just jump in over here to just force the shape of parity. So black, white, perhaps. If black does a sweep, still okay. White can still get the corner. So you're gonna sacrifice the left edge. It's minimal damage, perhaps. So he doesn't go for the edge. I'm running out of time. I'll just form a pair and try to go for an easy parity approach if possible. There is that danger of him sweeping key control excess, perhaps. So right now the problem is the bottom is a 5-disc and the top is the 3-disc region. Combined is an 8-disc parity problem for me to solve, perhaps. So it's just going to wedge in, take the corner first for fear of diagonal control, go for the parity secure move. He's probably going to wrap around this way and sweep across. So that's a reasonable move. But I think parity should still win me the game by a good margin, maybe 8 to 10 discs, I'm guessing. He doesn't take it, I'll take it and sweep across. So that's a bit of a pity. I think he lost some discs over there, perhaps. So he still has to access. Okay, he doesn't go for that sweep across. So, okay, good game, Yukawa. So that's lucky Couple more discs for me, perhaps. Okay, Chicken Boy. This is next round. I believe this should be round 8 by now. It's hard to keep track of rounds, perhaps, when the games are ongoing in an automatic fashion. So we're going for the usual Tiger opening to the Akun variation. So good luck. Let's see. So that's a fixed opening variation, cut off to the usual line control as we've seen in the previous games. So we're controlling this column and this diagonal row, which leads up to the center access. We'll cut this across to make a nice center cut and at the same time preventing this cut for white across. So we force white into that shape. So right now white's played this move. Fairly good move. We'll just regroup into the center. Right now, the temporary diagonal control along this mini diagonal is still okay for me to just maintain that shape. If he takes a5 and chases this excess, I'll just poison it here to form up a shape over here. Okay, so white has wrapped around. Probably I could feed one move over here and then feed the unbalanced edge. That's one way to approach it. Or I could have just gone for the tail end of it, but if I feed the unbalanced edge, it might be easier for me to handle the approach across. I'll just jump in for this quick center cut. I'm not too sure if this is the best approach actually. I might have been better off just securing that anchor a little bit more to the top first. Okay, so he's jumped out over here. What I could do is to take a cut here, or I'll just take a centralizing block here. Let's take the centralizing block, just a simple maneuver, just to maintain the center shape. Okay, well, right now he's taking a quick quiet move. We'll just jump into the center for the poison approach. If he takes it, I'll go in, let him form the balance edge. That's a fair response on both players' ends. There is a slight danger of him going into diagonal control right now. So I'll go for the diagonal control myself first, just to secure parity. That approach, take the edge, just wait for him to make moves to the top right so that I can respond accordingly without creating more moves for him over here, of course. Right now, I'll just grab the edge to the top without fear of diagonal control at the moment because I can just simply cut across to gain access. And if he chooses to defend back, this would become a lot of tempo for me. So he does chooses to form a block shape. I'll just take out the diagonal here with two simple disc flips. And I think most of the moves to the top might be poison, so that is to my advantage right now. I'll grab the top edge, just a simple grab the top, and then yep, he would feed it, gain the tempo perhaps. But he runs out of moves due to the ceiling of moves over there. Right now, I need to find a way to actually end the game off nicely, but it seems a bit tough at the moment. We'll grab this edge on the tail end of this vertical column. He's just going to feed off the unbalanced edge, and I'll grab it. Probably lack of parity for me. Perhaps it's going to be a bit dangerous and a bit close. Okay, I'll grab the parity since he's given me the corner. He's going to jump in for parity, perhaps. Yep, and I will have to force a sweep of discs as much as possible, as much as I don't have parity. Maybe I can still go for a little bit of overwhelming sweep. Oh, okay. I can take momentary control of this, even though I sacrificed the corner. I have this momentary control and therefore even parity. So, okay. I actually made him loses a turn, and I basically got parity to win this game. So that's fairly fortunate for me. Thank you. Good game, Leo. So right now, waiting for the next round opponent. Oh, okay. So there was a missing player. Probably get an automated win or a walkover for this round. Unfortunately, would have been better if I would have showcased more games. So let's take a look at the current standings. Okay, Cheeky Boy is with 8.5. So he's still fairly stable right now. Don't think if he's played most of the top ranked players, it would be hard to find a player who can beat him. So it would be tough. So these are the current standings right now. Still fairly even, and I think not much of a surprise here at the moment. So that's pretty interesting. Okay. Now round 10, the second last round of the tournament. So let's play as black, going for the tiger to the Akun variation. Okay. So Abdul is a player who is been playing in our local tournaments for probably the past 1 or 2 years. So this should be an interesting one. Again, this variation is fairly common, maintaining this vertical column across and this diagonal line control, just center cut. Okay, so right now he's jumped into the center, looking for access. I'll grab the center. So he's established this entire consecutive row. Let's try to play a response on the tail end of it, just as a simple quiet move. Okay. Let's just jump into the center, regroup over here. In general, he does have two consecutive tempos to F1 and F2. So that is something to take note of. He does grab it. So we'll take a poison move to E1 to see whether a response happens over here. Okay, so he does take the poison move. We'll grab it and contest for this move. Instead of letting him form a strong unbalanced, we'll let him strong a weaker unbalanced. So let's see how this goes. We'll try to go for two consecutive tempos by playing a diagonal chip across and then followed by C7 and then followed by C6. He doesn't allow me to take it by blocking off this disc that was meant to give access to C6. So that's a prevention measure. I'll take H4, regroup, and just wait for the break. Okay, right now I'm just chasing after access over here, perhaps. So could just grab the edge and just form a very passive shape to the lower right and just sort of exchange moves in a zigzag manner downwards, like almost like a shading, a coloring book in this direction. So that is the approach. Right now, I want to form this unbalanced for him, taking a quiet move first, because if I were to play this first, this would not be so easily removed, and these three discs that contributes to the poison move will not be removed. So that's a danger for me. Right now, I'm just going to jump in and protect the edge first, so that if he approaches this edge, I can feed off the edge, feed off the corner, go for the wedge. Okay, let me just jump in and feed off this unbalanced edge. If he does take it, I'll jump into C6 and then basically work my way along this 6th row. Okay, so he does take it. I'll take this because it's a good move if I don't take it. So it's just blocking and taking that move away first. Then he forms up that unbalanced edge. Okay, I'll just grab this quiet move. If he takes it, this would be a quiet move for me, but it's going to be a little bit dangerous if he sweeps across. So another approach I can take is to just feed off this. which is also a bit dangerous because this might result in a swindle. So one way I could play is to just play a floating X square right now, and this basically blocks off this move, gives me an opportunity to sweep down to G7 in the future. Okay, let's go for the X square. For the wedge, just wanted to make sure if there are any swindle opportunities for him. It would be dangerous for me. So just giving up this as much as possible to just try to sweep up the remaining this towards the end. Okay, he goes for the corner, I'll go for the wedge. It's a bit of an exchange. Grab this, he only has this move. So how should I finish it? I'll just take this, wrap along the edges. Nope, I should go for this move, perhaps. And then sweep up the edge for a narrow win. Okay, good game, Abdul. Thank you. So just waiting for the last game. Okay, so the tournament has ended and my final standings was 2 out of 12. So that's a fairly good result for me as well. So thank you everyone for joining this tournament and I hope you had fun, and definitely thanks for tuning in as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you at the next event.